Hello guys, this is your friend and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is what if Naruto was banished and Tsunade found him and made her next successor part 2. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. Several people had been admitted to the hospital. They were all older civilians and shinobi who had known Naruto for years before his banishment. Each seemed to have suffered a small heart attack and were all in severe cases of shock. The reason? Naruto Uzumaki, the loudmouth, knuckle-headed, unpredictable, here I am kill me orange wearing, ramen devouring Hokage to be, had refused the position of Hokage. Not long after this declaration in the middle of a street, Anbu had shown up and many had asked the Konoha 12 if they had brought back the right Naruto. It was confirmed that he was the real Naruto, but one of the bigger shockers was the revelation that he was no longer the vessel for the nine-tailed fox, the Biju which had killed so many people was free inside a human body. That was what scared people. The council were in a meeting right now to discuss this latest development. If he no longer has the QB then he is useless. Some nameless villager demanded the attention of the others residing in the council chambers within the Hokage Tower. Useless is he? Hiyashi asked the villager. Then please explain to us how you believe that 3 of our top Junin were severely beaten to a pulp and 1 was ripped apart by a sword technique. Or did they do that to themselves? Think about this. If news got out about Naruto being able to do something like this without so much as breaking a sweat, then imagine how well it would look in our records and to the other hidden villages. Naruto Uzumaki is the hero of several villages, Suna, Nami, Hoshi, Taki, Tasuki, Oni, not to mention the land of birds. If they found out Naruto returned to us then they'll jump to our side in an instant. Tsunade decided she needed to rain on this parade of thought. Yes, but imagine if Naruto declares himself hostile to us. The other villages will turn against us and Iwa, Kumo, Kusa and Oto will be on our backs in minutes. Not to mention they'll try to get him onto their side. Iwa will demand they have nothing to do with him unless execute him. We already spread the news that he was the Yondaime's son, Minato's one and only kid. Once that reached Iwa they'll be here sooner than you can say, Minato Namikaze, Ino agreed. Being the daughter of the head Yamanaka, Ino was next in line and as such was on the council. Chusa and Shikaku were there as Shikamaru and Choji were in no shape to attend a council meeting. Shizune, how is Choji's condition? Chusa asked the faithful medic Nin. The black-haired Belle smiled. After talking with Naruto, they way the jutsu works as sort of an anger management jutsu. It hurts the user but puts them into a coma so they do not feel pain, she grimaced at this. Anyway, once Choji is all healed up, it will be as if nothing happened. The cuts are designed to slowly repair themselves. He didn't really want to hurt Choji at all. The jutsu was apparently created by Isaribi when she was going through her periods and pregnancy and Naruto got on her bad side. He knows how it feels, apparently you just go numb. It's also good for tricking your enemies to believing their comrade is dead so you can take him for interrogation. And he just told you that? No, Chibanaru did. Naruto denied that he even used that jutsu on purpose and was supposed to use a more lethal one. The child is very good at healing jutsu. Where is he now? Yelling at the doctors for using herbs and jutsu that, slowly, heal patients. He has so many herbal techniques and jutsus to do with healing I wouldn't have thought that he was Naruto's child. He's even politer than Naruto. Must have been his mother's influence. Must have been. This is even more proof that the child should stay here and be put with a different family. The skills the child knows and the potential. With us to mold him he could become our greatest weapon, another villager announced. I say we take the child from its father, kill the man and go after the demon incarnate and use the child in the war, his friend said. Shikaku rolled his eyes. Oh sure, let's do that. How about we just pop over to your homes right now? I believe you have a 2-year-old daughter, don't ya? Let's put her into our seduction interrogation unit for the war. Then we'll keep her under lock and key. The ninja could not help but try to hide their laughter from his sarcasm. Or better yet, let's just put her on the front lines. You'll do no such thing. Then Chibanaru will have no part in our war. Nor will he be our weapon. Are you channeling Danzo? I thought we were finally done with him. I'm surprised hell hasn't spat him back out yet, along with Orochimaru, Chu's equipped. Okay, that's enough. This council was called so I may run my plan by you. It's how we're going to get Naruto to stay with us and become our Hokage. From evidence provided over the years, and his recent strength and skill against enemies, Hiashi cut in by here. But they were not enemies. Tsunade shook her blonde head. To Naruto they were. Now we all know Naruto is most suited for the job with his skills and fear factor. But he won't stay. This is my plan. When I get out of these I am going to castrate you all with a spoon. Naruto threatened as he struggled against his binds. Ink wraps, wooden bonds, chains, snakes, kikai bugs, ropes and seals. I swear to you all, you'll all be begging me to rip out your innards. Let me go. Sasuke rolled his eyes at the threats given to him and his fellow ninjas. Yamato looked nervous as he stood next to Sai, both afraid that Naruto would go through with his promise. Let me free. Sasuke growled animalistically. Shut up, Dobi. Kiba snickered on the other side of the room next to Shino. Hey Naruto, you should calm down. How's about we get you some ramen? Try and you'll be needing to be fed through a rubber tube for years to come, dog butt. Naruto retaliated. Kakashi kept giving Naruto appraising looks. Guy and Lee stood across from him and tried to cheer up Naruto. Hey Naruto-kun, your flames of youth are impressive, but they still are dim in your unyouthful approach to life. Guy shouted in Naruto's face. Lee followed suit. Hi, Naruto-kun. Your unyouthfulness is being forced onto an impressionable pinnacle of youth. Young Chibanaru is probably suffering from your unyouthful tendencies. If you two don't cut that crap out, I will be sure to castrate the pair of you, then use the waters of age to kill your flames of youth. The blonde man threatened. Don't tell me how to raise my kids. What you've done to Lee, Guy, is nothing short of child abuse. Naruto, that is most unyouthful. That's it. Lee, I'm castrating you first. At that moment Sakura walked into the holding room where they were currently containing Naruto. She had heard the last part and giggled. Naruto, she said happily. You say something, Pinky. Now the old Sakura would have exploded in a fit of rage and smacked Naruto across the face with one of her super punches. The new Sakura simply winced and walked forward to Naruto holding a tray of food. Don't talk to her like that. Sasuke ordered Naruto with anger in his voice. No, it's okay, Sasuke. It's fine. Here Naruto, I brought you some tea. It has milk so I hope you like it, she said, lifting the cup up and offering it to him. Begrudgingly Naruto accepted it. This better not have any truth serum in it, Haruno, or I'll make sure you pay for it, he warned before sipping the tea. Sakura continued to tilt it into Naruto's mouth, like a mother giving her teething baby milk. Sasuke glared at the scene before the door next to him opened up wide and all the way, effectively squashing and trapping Sasuke behind the back of the door. "To-san," Chibanaru exclaimed. Thankfully Sakura had known he was coming and had taken the cup away from Naruto's mouth before any damage could be done. The little tyke became a blur of black, red and blonde which collided with Naruto's dawnfined form. Haku, are you alright? Naruto asked his son. The little boy nodded. Hi, but this scary old bat keeps chasing me. Who you calling a scary old bat, you little brat? A voice called out which made Naruto sweat uncontrollably. He averted his eyes to the door to see the only thing on the same level of scariness as a pissed Tsunade. Enko Mitarashi, the purple-haired special Junin who had proctored the second stage of the Chunin exams and who had accompanied Ino, Shino and Naruto to the land of the sea where they met Isaribi. Ah, demonic snake queen, Naruto exclaimed, trying to edge his chair away from her. The purple-haired Junin felt her eye twitch and she cracked her knuckles. What was that, blondie? Naruto continued to edge away from her, feeling dangerously close to letting Haku become an orphan. Oh, nothing. Anko, a voice Naruto recognized from years ago but could not place the image or name, called after the snake Junin. Ka-san. Another voice cried. Naruto's ears perked up, before he began to snicker. You a mother. Who's the? Holy crap, Iruka-sensei. True, Iruka had skidded into the room holding a child under his arms. The child looked like a miniature Iruka, but with a pair of unruly brown bangs framing his face. At least Naruto thought it was a he. His eyes were like Anko's as well, but his skin was tanned like Iruka's. Add a scar across his nose, cut his bangs, give him contacts, and you'd think Iruka shrunk in the wash. Sasuke and Kiba grumbled under their breath, staring murderously at Naruto. Sure, you use his name, but to us you just threw insults. Thanks a lot, Naruto, Sasuke growled. Naruto. The little guy under Iruka's arm asked his father. He crooked his neck up so it was pointing at Iruka's face. That Naruto, too-san? The child asked. Iruka nodded, and within seconds the child was gone, only to be found having pushed Haku into Sakura's arms and hugging the trapped Naruto. Ani-chan, he cried, embedding his little face as far into Naruto's chest as he could. A few minutes of silence before. Hey, Iruka-sensei, who the hell is this little gaki? Naruto asked. Iruka and Anko's sweat dropped as the child began to bounce on Naruto's lap. Hey, don't cha no, Aniki. I'm your Otudo. Naruto froze, looking down at the little child with weary eyes. You are. The child nodded enthusiastically. Hi, we even have the same name. Naruto. You're Naruto Uzumaki and I'm Naruto Yumino. Get away from my two-san, bastard, Haku cried from Sakura's arms. Chibanuru, Sakura scolded. Haku, what have I told you about swearing? Naruto asked his son, raising an accusing eyebrow to the 5-year-old in the pink-haired woman's arms. The child gave off a large foxy grin, complete with shut eyes, before exclaiming. Swear like a sailor and kick the crap out of anyone who tells you off. That's my boy. Anko gave Iruka a grin before attaching herself to his arm. Ya know, I like his parenting methods, she whispered before Iruka began to blanch. Great. Now Anko was going to teach their Naruto that in the village will never hear the end of it. So what should you do, Haku? Naruto asked, a malicious glint in his eyes. The small child grinned before elbowing Sakura in the side. It was a sharp jab which caused the med nin to gasp out in pain. Ah! She exclaimed, letting go of Chibanuru, who leapt up onto his father's lap trying to strangle the third Naruto. Leave my two-san alone. He's my Aniki. Well, he's my two-san. Aniki. Two-san. Aniki. Tou-san. Ya know, Naruto interrupted. I had a dream like this once, only instead of two little brats with the same name as me, they were Teo gorgeous hot women. They were fighting over me and who was going to feed me Pocky. Ah, sweet, Pocky. Suddenly Naruto's eyes narrowed. Will someone get me some damn Pocky? I'm starving in this hole. Just then Tsunade decided to make her appearance. Well, I see we're getting along all right, she stated as she walked up to Naruto's chair. I don't know if you consider me threatening to castrate most of them with a spoon. Getting along, Tsunade-sama, he drawled the sama out as if it were something disgusting you needed to spit out. The kunoichi flinched at her adoptive grandson's words. Where was the ray of sunshine now when they most needed him? Buried under bitterness, hatred and pain. Tsunade stood in front of the chair with her arms stretched out. Naruto looked into her eyes, just before she flicked him on the forehead, sending him flying back into the wall behind him. Gah! He cried as he went flying. Tsunade smirked and advanced on the man who was now bleeding from his forehead. The young man growled at her as the other occupants of the room tensed, afraid of what Tsunade was going to do to the poor kid. When she reached Naruto, she wrapped her arms around him and pulled him into a bone-crushing hug. It is so good to see you again, Naru-chan, she said as Naruto's face turned blue. The others snickered at his reaction. Can't breath. He wheezed as Tsunade continued to strangle him with her arms. When she was finally done manhandling the blonde, she stood over him. Naruto-kun, I have a proposition for you. Naruto narrowed his eyes. What kind of proposition? The asked ACU singly. Tsunade broke out into a grin. Well, since you had me return to the village on a bet, I decided to return the favor. Naruto remained silent for a minute before bursting out into laughter. Waha! You bet me. Tsunade, I've been winning bets and ransacking casinos for the better half of a decade. With my good luck and your crap luck, I'm sure to win the bet. Tsunade waited until he was finished. The bet is that the Konoha 12 and others will fight and defeat you in a no-holds match. 1-on-1. You will fight and defeat each of our ninja from the weakest to the strongest. You may have as many weapons as you like, but remember that there is to be no killing, no maiming and no permanent injuries. You must win each match to move on to the next. However, should you at least one of your matches, you will automatically be considered a ninja of Konoha once more. Probably Chunin, Junin if we can squeeze it. Naruto turned slowly towards Sakura. Hey, Pinky. Did Hag's brain, small as it may be, finally discover it was being watched and go into her? I mean, there's more room down there, it's like a retirement home. He was met by a punch to the face by Tsunade, who began to see that the ungrateful attitude shown towards her. How dare you, you brat! Easy. I think it, then I think to myself, I dare you, then I say it. That's how I dare myself, Naruto replied cockily. Tsunade grabbed him by the front of his shirt and pulled his face to meet hers. Do you have any idea how much time and effort we've put into finding you? Naruto lifted up his eyebrow and replied. About a month, and you overexerted yourselves to find me. It took all of Tsunade's moral strength not to punch the man now. Ungrateful little brat. We've been searching for you, we even promised to fulfill your lifelong dream, and what do? Throw it back in our faces, and treat us like shit. We love you, Naruto. Why are you treating us like we're subhuman? She begged him to answer. Naruto then did something rather bold and daring, and also disgusting. He spat in Tsunade's face. The others froze in shock and outrage. When I look in your eyes, Naruto spoke with a voice that seemed to be the actual L incarnation of hatred and disgust. I don't see love. I don't see regret. All I see are a couple of pathetic bugs, who turned their backs on me. Remember when I was first banished, Tsunade? You and all the others, here he moved his head to indicate the other ninja. You all gladly turned your backs, literally. That walk of shame I did out of the village, where not even one of you dared to turn to meet my eye and tell me how much you would miss me. You didn't even flinch when you noticed that Anbu hit me across the face. Or did you forget that? Naruto stood up, still strapped to the chair, his face burned into a scowl. Of course you did. I wasn't important. I wasn't worth a damn in your eyes. None of you. The others recoiled. It was at that moment that they truly realized. Their Naruto was dead, and it was all their fault. Tsunade walked into her office later that evening like a dead woman walking. She looked like a zombie to those who had seen her on the street. She looked broken. They could all tell. Something must have happened with that ex-Jinchuriki. No one noticed the small trickle of water that ran down her cheeks. Once she reached the office, she was greeted by the council and Shizune. The council consisted of high-ranking ninja, the clan heads, the two advisors of the Hokage themselves, and a small group of civilians. The Hokage ran the ninja, the advisors gave her advice in running the welfare of her ninjas such as the ninja supplies. The high-ranking ninja were there in time of war to help the Hokage find weaknesses in enemies and to strengthen their army. The clan heads represented their clans and ran the clan business, civilian and ninja within the jurisdiction of the Hokage and the civilian council, who ran the economical needs for the villagers, sorted out orphans' allowances, organized events and worked under the Hokage. They were all sat around the office, each with a glass of wine in their hands, courtesy of a civilian member of the council. The clan heads, the high-ranking ninja, the advisors and a couple of civilians looked disgusted, whilst some of the civilians looked rather tipsy. Oi, Hokage-sama. Did you convince him? Will he fight? Tsunade-sama. Shizune exclaimed. Is that saliva on your face? What happened and, are you crying? The Hokage's assistant asked her master. The other council members surrounded the blonde Hokage as she fell to her knees. It was then that Tsunade broke. Tears streamed down her face and the genjutsu she always wore faded, revealing to the council that something had gone wrong and they were not going anywhere with the plan. A week after the confrontation between Naruto and Tsunade found the blonde man having a checkup in a hospital, done personally by the assistant of the woman he had spat in the face of. Shizune kept giving Naruto nervous glances, afraid of what he would do to her. She had never been afraid of Naruto, she didn't fear what he could do physically and mentally back when he was younger, but now she was afraid of what he was capable of. Tsunade had cried herself to sleep every night for the past week, and even then it was only about an hour's sleep, then she went back to crying. Shizune had never seen her mentor so destroyed before. It scared her that Naruto could do that by simply spitting on her face and staring her straight in the eye and telling her what he hated about all of Konoha. The woman had enough to deal with right now. The war with stone, cloud, grass and sound was drawing closer, and she ahed to bring in all of the allied villages for a conference begging them to help her. Daimyos Yukie Fujikas, Michiru Sakino and his son, Hikaru, and Toki of the lands of snow and birds respectfully were also in attendance. Tsunade had thought that them being good friends of Naruto could help convince him to return. The Kazekage, leader of Tokigakure, the Namikage, the Hoshikage, the leaders of Demon Country and the various council members from those foreign lands would also be joining. The daimyo of fire would also be coming. Tsunade had also tried to bring forth the Mizukage, but with little to no results. Shizune looked over Naruto's charts and glanced up as the young man held his sleeping son on his lap. Shizune also took notice of his chest area, which caused her to go as red as a tomato. He wasn't overly muscular. His chest looked like a teenager's or young man's who worked on a sports team. She tried to hide her blush with her clipboard, but she could tell that Naruto knew she was blushing. Well, Naruto, your vital signs are great, your body is in amazing physical condition, you have no illnesses, your eyesight is perfect, the only problem is your sugar levels. They're far too high. You should cut down. According to this, you're much healthier than when you lived here 10 years ago, the dark-haired woman told her patient. Naruto snorted and rolled his eyes. That's no surprise. I haven't eaten all the crap you lot tried shoving down my throat. He then seemed to swell up with pride. And besides, me and Isaribi did have our own restaurant once, we had to be healthy, especially when Haku was coming along. Shizune smiled at him. He looks so much like you. Cute. Naruto narrowed his eyes at his ex-adoptive older sister's thoughts about him. You're not trying to butter me up, are you? He asked untrustingly. Shizune swiftly shook her head to either side of her neck. No, Naruto-kun. Just stating the obvious. The two of you are cute, especially together. Naruto seemed to exert an extra layer of cockiness and confidence unto his aura. Why, thank you, Shizune. By the way, Naruto grinned, did you finally come out as a lesbian? Shizune turned bright red. I am not a lesbian. Shizune exclaimed, fighting the urge to smack Naruto across the head. I should hope not. A new, yet familiar voice sounded from the other side of the door. The two turned their heads to see Kakashi Hatake, his hand entangled by a 7-year-old boy with gravity-defying black hair and onyx eyes. A face mask was messily under his chin and ran around his neck. He had a bored expression on his face, but his eyes seemed annoyed at the book in Kakashi's hand. She is my wife, after all, Kakashi noted to Naruto, whose eyes bulged out at that revelation. Kakashi plus Shizune actually seemed impossible. They barely had any contact with each other when he had been here 10 years ago. "San, put down that book or I will tell Ka-chan about your MFFPHFF," He didn't finish as Kakashi dropped a hand over his mouth, clearly not wanting his wife to know about his secret something. You guys are weird, a small voice quipped. The adults and child turned to see Haku gone from his father's arms and playing a game of poker with Kyubi. I raise the stakes, the child said, returning to the game. Shizune and Kakashi sweat dropped as they witnessed the child playing poker with the mechanized soccer ball. Yeah, I win again. Haku exclaimed. Kyubi, you suck at gambling and card games. Naruto smiled as the cards were inserted into Kyubi. The mouth opened up and Haku just fed them to Kyubi. It was an infinite storage chest of toys, games, booze and Pocky in there. Naruto knew that much. He remembered a certain incident where he was trapped in Kyubi for a week because he had eaten a whole suitcase worth of Pocky. Hey, Obito, Kakashi spoke to his son. Why don't you take Shibanaru out for a walk? You can go to the park. I hear there's a new ice cream stand there. Handing his son a wad of cash, Kakashi ushered him and signaled Shibanaru out the door. The two complied, leaving the adults alone. When they were gone, Naruto turned to his old sensei with a harsh glare. You better not be here to guilt trip me into coming back, Hatake, or so help me God. Naruto, Kakashi began. Chill. The blonde raised an eyebrow. I don't want you to come back if you don't want to. I think you're better off in the wilderness, Kakashi stated. But you didn't have to spit in Tsunade's face. It may have proven a point, but it was a little over the top, don't ya think? Kakashi goaded. Shizune shifted nervously before speaking. I'm going to go get some coffee. Kashi, Naru, you want any? Western tea. Milk. 3 sugars, please Shizune, Naruto said to her. Coffee? No sugar, no milk, Kakashi told his wife. Fine, but only 2 sugars for you, Naruto. As of now you are on a sugar-free diet, Shizune warned with a violent tone in her normally sweet voice. She was out of the door before either man could realize she was missing. Naruto bowed his head before looking Kakashi in the eye again. Will you stop looking at me with my shirt off? If you weren't married to Shizune, I'd think you were perving on me. Just looking. You seem to have gotten fitter since you left. Must be the lack of ramen in your diet. They retreated into silence before Kakashi spoke once again to his ex-pupil. I miss you, the silver-haired Junin said to Naruto. You miss me, or what you used to do to me? Naruto added bitterly as he stared out of the window. Did it give you some sort of thrill embarrassing me and leaving me in the dust to train Sasuke? Or did you just feel good you were hurting the vessel of the nine-tailed fox? Kakashi shook his head. No. I miss the sunshine you brought into our lives. Suicide levels after failed missions has risen in the last 10 years. Apparently your pranks and attitude were the life and soul of a lot of people. Most are actually surprised and amazed that Sasuke, Sakura and Iruka have lasted this long without offing themselves. Naruto scowled before resting his chin against his chest. Who knew this village relied on stupid pranks to make themselves feel good about life? Pathetic. Kakashi seemed to get a few degrees colder at that moment. It wasn't just the pranks, Naruto. Oh really? What was it then? The beatings of a little kid who didn't know what the hell was going on. The jeering, the vicious glances, the stares, the pointing, the overpriced items, the faulty goods, the out-of-date milk. Any of those ring a bell, Kakashi? Naruto was beginning to get hysterical. Kakashi saw this a mile off and lay a hand on Naruto's shoulder. It wasn't any of that stuff. It was hope. Hope. Naruto scoffed as he sneered. Hope of what? The death of the ultimate evil. The creature that ended the existence of countless shinobi. What hope, Kakashi? The hope of a better tomorrow. Naruto snickered at his reply. That is some messed up crap, Kakashi. Not to mention corny. Kakashi gripped Naruto's shoulder tighter. No, Naruto. He lowered his face to eye level with Naruto. The hope that you can never give up, no matter what gets in your way. Hope that a dead last like you can defeat S-class ninja while still a genin. Hope that's always shining and always there no matter how much someone tries to snuff it out. Kakashi sounded desperate. How long did it take you to write and rehearse that? Naruto asked boredly. It was written by Iruka in 5 minutes and it took me 3 hours to rehearse it even with the Sharingan. How did you know someone wrote it and that I rehearsed it? The copycat ninja asked the blonde man. Naruto snickered before flicking Kakashi's nose. You really need some acting lessons. Naruto returned to his seat before clicking his Tonuge. So, you and Shizune huh? Odd, I know. But after you left I was sort of in a slump. I spent all day and night at the memorial stone, I felt I had failed my entire team. You, Sakura, Sasuke. I couldn't take it anymore. Naruto entwined his fingers with each other and put them under his chin. So what did you do? Go on a binge? Kakashi smiled underneath his mask before looking down shamefully. No, I tried to commit seppuku. Naruto's head shot up and his eyes widened in shock. You, seppuku. Was my leaving that much of a disaster? Kakashi sat crossed-legged on one of the hospital beds. No, it was terrible but it was the final push I needed to send me straight off a cliff. It was only a month later that Shizune found me hanging from the Hokage monument. You didn't. I did. Shizune cut me down with her sebans and caught me. She then proceeded to heal all my neck wounds, before pounding me, healing me, then repeating to process a couple of times. Naruto rolled his eyes. Well, she was Tsunade's apprentice. What do you expect? Granted, I would have done the exact same thing. I have no doubt you would have. You wouldn't have a lil godson if I had been left hanging. Wait, what? Naruto asked. Godson. Well, Obito for one, Naruto the third for another. Kakashi and Naruto shivered. Even Naruto was afraid of the prospect of 3 Narutos whose pranking schemes were all on different wavelengths. Bad enough with shadow clones. It was either you, Guy, or Sasuke. You do the math. Naruto nodded in seeing the logic in that. It was either the green beast of youth or the emo Avenger. It made perfect sense, even though he didn't know anything about it. Then you were the first in line for Gaara's kid. Gaara got married. Who? When? Oh, just some girl called Matsuri or something. One of his old students. Goldish hair, spunky attitude, has an obsession with whips. Oh, Matsuri-chan. I remember her. Right before I left for my training trip I was on a mission with San to get her back. Kakashi's eye looked up as if he were deep in thought. Oh, that mission. I remember that. I thought she was making eyes at you though. Anyway, the kid's a nightmare. Gaara's noticed how the kid uses Sanjutsu, and has been trying to get him to be a med nin. Gaara's son a med nin? I never thought I'd see the day. Yeah, and that Rasengan is a beaut. Rasengan. The Rasengan made out of sand. My bad. I used it in front of him. I swear the kid was an Uchiha in his past life. Broke down the Rasengan training, mastered it and created an elemental version of it. But I don't think he would be able to beat you, Mr. Rasengan, on each digit. Oh, you heard about that? From the Rasengan fan club. I don't want to know. When Shizune finally returned with the tea, she found Kakashi and Naruto talking about Obito Hatake. The little guy was 2 years older than Haku and was already a Chunin, but had yet to make his first kill and was on extended leave until he was 12. So you named him after your best friend? I think Guy started sobbing his eyes out when you told him that. Kakashi snorted. Had I named him after him and let him know, Uncle Guy, I would probably try seppuku again, Shizune too probably. We're all dreading the day Tenten announces she's pregnant. Then we're building the panic rooms. Shizune served them tea and began to fill in the paperwork for Naruto's checkup. There's one thing still bugging me, Kakashi asked Naruto as the blonde sipped his tea. Yeah, what's that? Naruto asked his former sensei. Why don't you hate me like the others? Or Shizune? Shizune looked up from her work, wondering the same thing. Naruto sighed before swirling his tea. Truth is, I'm still pissed at all of you. But since Shizune has 7 and you have Reikiri, I am at your mercy considering we're in a hospital room and I do better at long-ranged attacks. Were we not in this predicament I would probably be talking to you like scum. That and I'm curious to how Konoha is these days. The two Junin sweat dropped anime style at Naruto's explanation. He was just in bad conditions to be dealing with their tempers. That did nothing to boost their confidence that Naruto was actually starting to like them again. Oh 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 oh. Haku grunted as Obito and the other Naruto dog piled him. Get off Yumino. Hataki. You weigh a lot. Get off now. Shibanaru scowled. Haku's warning went unheeded until he began another of his techniques. Rasen Usagi. He called out. A white Rasengan formed in his palm with a spiraling tail. Run maggots. Run, Haku threatened. The other two jumped off him and stepped back a couple of paces. The white Rasengan stopped after a while, showing a bunny's face. The ears were sharp, but it was still cute. And deadly. What the hell is that? One of my kawaii tun jutsus, Haku told them, striking a cute pose. Kawaii tun? The two other boys asked in unison. Cute release jutsu, Haku said before going through more hand seals. Watch. Kawaii tun. Tiger suit. A puff of smoke later and Haku was dressed in a cute tiger suit. His face was revealed, but his nose was black and 3 lines were drawn so his face, obscuring his freckles and showing off a very cute kid and little early for Halloween. Look at that. Kawaii. Oh, he's so cute. I wonder who's the daddy. Or if he has a brother my age. You're 26. So. Haku looked around to see himself the center of attention for every woman in the park. The little guy blushed before forming his hands into a handseal. Stop looking at me. Oroku no Jutsu. Version pervy woman. Haku was replaced by well, I'll leave that up to your imagination. As soon as Naruto arrived with Kakashi on his heels, they looked around to see female bodies strewn everywhere, rivers of blood pouring out of their noses and large puddles of blood scattered around the entire area. Kakashi took one look at the scene and stepped away from Naruto. Thank God you don't have any more of those things, he said as Naruto smacked his forehead. Haku, he breathed. Said child turned to see his father and broke out into a face-splitting grin. To-san, look. I caused mass mayhem and destruction. Can you teach me more of your jutsu now? Naruto began to bang his head on the nearby swing set. I should never bet against him. His luck is better than mine, Naruto said between hits. Kakashi looked to see Obito and Naru looking at Haku with stars for eyes. That was cool, Obito exclaimed. Kakashi suddenly had a really bad feeling. Hey, Shibanaru-chan, Naru began as he ran up to the child. Can you teach me how to do that? Kakashi felt even more of a bad feeling crawling up his spine. With whatever jutsu Shibanaru just performed, Kakashi was sure it would be the end of Konoha as he knew it. Teach us how to do that. What did you call it? Oroku no Jutsu. Version pervy woman. Naru asked, hanging on to Shibanaru's arm. Kakashi froze in fear. If Shizune heard that Obito wanted to know a pervy jutsu, then she would not hurt her precious little boy. No, it would be his perverted father who would pay the ultimate price. No, for numerous years, not even on special occasions, the Ika Ika Paradise set would be burnt for a bonfire, and Obito could be witness to his father's checking into the witness protection program to get away from his psycho wife. The 3 boys laughed at the expressions of the faces of Kakashi and Naruto. Naruto's attitude could be described as murderous. He had just been informed that the village would not allow him to leave unless he fought and won all of the fights Tsunade had planned for him. Shizune cowered under his gaze as he glared murderously. The dark-haired woman had just been in a council meeting and was to inform Naruto of this development. When she exclaimed this, Naruto erupted and demanded to know why he was being kept here when he wasn't even a Konoha ninja. The explanation that his ninja license had been invoked caused a one-man riot. Naruto tore through the council chambers, threatening all of the members of the council to let him go. It was Hiashi Hyuga who managed to push into the yelling and explain to the once hyperactive ninja that the only way he would be allowed to leave was for him to fight and win all of his fights with the Konoha 12 nin and the other challengers that Tsunade had arranged to go up against him. The Hyuga had narrowly missed death by wind jutsu when Haku managed to calm his father down. The child had been an instant favorite with the council and ninja of Konoha. He was exactly like Naruto used to be, only with his charm more powerful, and his use in kawaii jutsu made him far more likable than Naruto could ever hope to be to anyone. The council were extremely thankful that Haku was there to calm down the living maelstrom before he tore through some of the members of the council. "San, what's the big deal?" Haku had asked his father. "All you have to do is kick these guys' asses and we can go. You can bet 'em. Auntie QQ wouldn't let us be kept here anyway. You have to pay for his living. The freeloader would get mad if you didn't send your gambling money every week for him. He'd kill you if you lost, then he'd take us out of the village anyway. So fight him. I know you'll win, so what's the problem?" "It's the principle of the matter," Naruto fumed. "I don't want to play by their rules. I stopped doing that the second I left this village 10 years ago." He turned to the council members, his eyes burning with rage. "If I do this, it'd be like I was their lapdog again. I want freedom from this crap heap." It was a good thing that none of the council members spoke up at that moment. Shizune sat in the Hokage chair glancing nervously at the occupants of the room. Tsunade had refused to leave her room, so her assistant took on the duties of her master until further notice. Shizune finally spoke up by appealing to Naruto's fatherly nature. "Chibanaru-kun is right, Naruto-san," she said, trying to use the right honorifics to sweet-talk him. "Besides, why not fight? And if you lose, it'd be a good thing for Chibanaru." Naruto's ears perked up and his eyes narrowed. "What crap you selling?" he asked the black-haired woman who shivered under his gaze. "Well, Naruto, Chibanaru needs a lot more stability in his life. Going from one place to another and never stopping long enough to make friends is bad for a child at his age." It was, however, Chibanaru who spoke up. "I make friends all the time. They're my pen friends. There's Uncle Renmara, Uncle Inari, Auntie Shion, Hitomi-chan, Megumi-chan, Haruka-kun, Mamo-kun, Yu-kun, Yugi-chan, Auntie Noriko, and all my other pen friends." Well, that was a bust, the council members all thought in unison. "What about his schooling?" Kaharu asked, looking genuinely concerned. "San teaches me. I know how to make clothes, fish, read and write, use a kunai, make seals, do hand seals, throw seben, use a tessin, fight with a katana, and tons of other stuff. And before Ka-san went to meet Uncle Haku and all the others up in heaven with Kami-sama, she taught me how to cook, fight, swim, use my water chakra, and she let me sign her summoning contract." The contents of that speech caused some of the council members to begin to look at Haku like he was already a chunin. Those skills would be highly appreciated by many ninjas who worked in those fields. Haku was a jack of all trades but a master of few, or maybe a master of all by the time he was 16 in 11 years' time. But it was the last part that got some of the council members curious. Chibanaru had signed a summoning contract with something other than his father's toad summonings. Questions circled in the council members' minds. What animal could Haku summon? Where did Isaribi get the summoning contract? Which level could Haku summon up to already? Since when could Isaribi summon? And one of the most important questions circled Ted in the council members' minds. Why didn't Haku have the fabled toad summoning contract that his father, the Yondaime Hokage, and Jiraiya of the Sannin all posses? "Chibanar-kun," Shizune spoke, "why do you not have your father's summoning contract?" she asked. Naruto looked at her as if she had two heads. "Since when do I have a summoning contract?" The others in the room other than Haku fell over anime style. "San, you never told me you had a summoning contract." The child berated his father. "Why didn't you tell me? Which animal is it?" Naruto screwed his face up into an expression to show that he was thinking. Suddenly a light bulb went off in his head and he opened his eyes. "Oh yeah, that summoning contract, the one for, he said as he began to shake. "Now this is irony," he stated before laughing nervously. "Well, this is a tad problematic," he said in a southern accent. Nay, nay, Tu-san. What animal can you summon? Oh, nothing special, Naruto said nervously. Hiashi Hyuga growled in anger. You call the summoning contract of two? He found his mouth covered by Naruto's hand. Don't say the T word, he exclaimed, looking at Haku fearfully. The child just looked confused at his father's actions. Did he not want to tell him what he could summon? Tu-san, what is it? The child demanded. Naruto looked at the council members in the room, begging them not to tell the child his summons with his eyes. Hiashi mumbled under Naruto's hand. The other members of the council turned to look at Hiashi, whose Byakugan gained a malicious tint. Naruto removed his hands before Hiashi spoke. Well, well, well. Looks like the ball is in our court now, he said darkly. All who caught the tone shivered. I can't use this to make you stay. You're too proud for that, but. The others looked at him, seemingly able to catch on to Hiashi's way of thinking. If you agree to participate into challenges Tsunade-sama has organized for you, then none of us will tell Chibanaru-san what your summoning animal is, because for some reason or another you don't want him to know. Naruto saw his folly and groaned. He had given the council exactly what they needed. Leverage. Haku's schooling was taken care of. He had friends. He had minor stability, but the one thing he did not have was knowledge of Naruto's summoning animal. It was the one thing Naruto really wanted under wraps. Shit, the blonde said as he began to growl obscenities that would have made Tayuya blush like a school girl with a crush. Even after all this time, I am still Adobe, Naruto muttered. Alright, if you all swear to me on the lives of your children and of the lives of your families not to tell Chibanaru about my summons, I will participate in this challenge, for all the good it'll do you, smug bastards. Shizune sighed as Naruto and Haku left the council chambers, which now held council members with families on the line in a way of securing that Naruto would fight the challenges. This was turning into hard work. No wonder Tsunade-sama gets so drunk often. Like the Nara guy says, troublesome, Shizune thought, as now she had an odd craving for sake. Sakura Haruno found herself accompanying one of the delegations who would be traveling to Konoha to go through war talks and agreements. Sakura found herself under the piercing eyes of the Godime Kazekage as they approached the border between the Land of Fire and the Land of Wind. Accompanying the delegation of the cage were his wife, Matsuri Sabaku, Kankuro Sabaku, a figure hidden under a sand-colored cloak, though Sakura did detect red hair when the wind blew into the person's face, Suna Juninbaki, and the Kazecage's son, Miso Sabaku, her #1 fan. The little boy was adorable. Long blood-red hair that framed his sun-kissed skin, delicate aquamarine eyes flared, divided by a cute cut-in nose. His eyes were slightly dark-rimmed, and he, unlike his father who had none, had whisker-thin eyebrows above his eyes. Miso wore black shinobi sandals, a pair of cream-white shinobi pants and a sandy-colored t-shirt with a cute image of a raccoon stitched on the front. At his sides he held two genie-like bottles made out of sand, probably where he got his emergency supply. Miso held on to Sakura's back, seeing as she was apparently the best person in the delegation to talk about medical ninjutsu. The child was obsessed with it, just as bad as he was obsessed with sandcastles, sand angels, and having his own pet raccoon. Nay, Sakura-san. Can you show me more healing jutsu? Would Hokage-sama teach me her Genesis rebirth technique? Sakura looked pleadingly to Gaara and Matsuri, both of who just innocently whistled on the wagon bound for Konoha. Sakura-san. Miso began again. Any news from Koniwa? He asked, mispronouncing Konoha. Did anything happen? Is there a new missing nin? Sakura sighed. You sure are a persistent lil guy. Just like your dad, only he did it silently and killed whatever he was pursuing as soon as he could, she told him. Gaara smirked as Miso looked up at his father. Sugoi, the small boy said as he turned to Sakura again. Sakura was beginning to get tired from walking with the child on her back. Kankuro smirked from his place as the WGON driver. Getting a lil much for you, Haruno? He asked snidely. The pink-haired medic growled something which only Miso heard. He turned to his father with a confused expression. "To-sama, what is a bloody SOB Enuk wannabe?" Kankuro froze as Sakura turned to glare at both him and Miso. If the Enuk wannabe was any clue, Kankuro decided he needed to guard his family jewels more carefully with the medic here. Matsuri growled as Gaara remained impassive. Baki roared in laughter from where he stood at the side of the wagon. The robed figure remained silent as the grave, knowing of this woman's temperament from legends and rumors spread throughout the elemental nations and wishing not to be on the receiving end of that. Sakura growled. "Seriously. I wish you were more like Haku. Naruto got off easy when he had him," he murmured under her breath. "Sakura-san, who is Haku? And what do you mean by Naruto? Stop listening in on me or I'll give you first-hand experience in being an ENNUCH, never mind you being 5 years old." She screeched at the child, almost needing someone to hold her down before she castrate one of the people she was meant to be keeping safe. However, Miso had been loud enough for Gaara to hear with his excellent hearing. The others were just laughing. As they reached the shade of fire country, Gaara ordered they rest. When Baki opposed this, a single glance from the cage silenced him. If the cage wanted to rest, then the cage will rest, no opposition from any of his subordinates. Kankuro and Baki settled down to a game of poker, whilst Cloaked Man went to search around the area in which they rested. Miso and his mother remained on the wagon as the sandy-haired woman began to read a story to her little angel. Gaara made his way to where Sakura sat. "What did you mean by Haku and Naruto?" he asked her dangerously. Sakura froze, but did not face him. "Oh, nobody. Ya know Iruka's kid Naruto, and his friend Haku." "Yeah, that's right." Gaara sat next to her. "I can tell you're lying. You meant Naruto Uzumaki, didn't you?" "Who is Haku?" he asked. Sakura continued to just sit there with a medical book in her hands. "Kazukage-sama, this is not the time to be speaking of such things." She began to get up and leave, but Gaara-san grabbed her arm. Sakura remained silent but did nothing, not wanting to alert the others. "I'll ask this once and only once," he commanded dangerously. "Do you know where Naruto Uzumaki is?" Sakura looked down shamefully. She was about to tell a foreigner about the secret they had been trying to keep under wraps. Well, Gaara is the cage of an ally village, maybe it'd be okay. So long as he doesn't tell Tsunade. I opened by big mouth. Tsunade-sama wanted him back, the council too. We retrieved him, but he insists he hates us. He spat in Tsunade-sama's face. Gaara's eyes widened slightly and his pupils narrowed. Haku is a nickname. A middle name, in fact. We call him Chibanaru not to confuse him with his father. Naruto is Chibanaru's father. Naruto's a daddy. They're both in Konoha currently. It was supposed to be kept secret. The allies were only to know once they were in Konoha's walls. We're trying to get Naruto to rejoin. But for him to leave, he must fight and win all the fights Tsunade-sama has arranged for him. Gaara's sand retreated and he stood up abruptly. "Matsuri, Kankuro, Baki, aka San, Miso. We leave for Konoha now," he ordered, San Shunshin-ing on to the wagon once again as the cloaked figure returned and the others looked up with confusion. "Hurry up," he ordered. Oh. Currently Naruto was playing babysitter to Haku and his two new friends, sending death glares to any of the Konoha 12 who approached him, and sending silent warnings to women who pointed out that Haku looked cute for their own safety. It was difficult dealing with a 5-year-old who could send you into a coma should you even attempt to call him cute when he doesn't want you to comment. Obito and Naru hadn't left Haku's side since they had all met a couple of days ago, except for dinner. In that time the young child had taught his two new friends how to use Oroku no Jutsu and two Kawaii Jutsus. Naruto did nothing to stop him, figuring the village could do with a bit of chaos from the special hentai jutsu. Far from the quartet of Oroku users, stood a pale-eyed Kunoichi looking down at Naruto from one of the buildings. Next to her stood her cousin, Neji. Both had activated Byakugan scanning and keeping an eye on the blonde rogue. Naruto-kun looks good with his hair in a top knot, Hinata commented half-heartedly. Neji repressed the urge to sigh. For 10 years Hinata had begun making waves in the clan of Hyuga. First was the abolition of the cage bird seal, replacing it instead with a seal on the hand which could only be used by the head Hyuga and the person that held the seal. All members of the Hyuga were required to wear this, marking them as equals, and taking away the threat that the main branch family held over the cadet branch. Secondly was the introduction of ninjutsu, genjutsu, medical training and weapons training in the Hyuga clan. Hinata had made a case that the lack of these and the sole reliance of the Jukin was making the clan weak. A quick demonstration where a couple of Junin from the village beat the Hyuga's Jukin. Needless to say the Jukin lost its importance in the Hyuga ranks as it became known only as the clan's common taijutsu. Next came that males could marry out of the family, on the grounds that it was only women who had the ability to pass on the Byakugan. It was usable by both genders but a male could not pass on the Byakugan. It was a woman's duty to pass on the Byakugan. The women of the Hyuga clan were told that their husbands were to marry into their clan so as not to lose the fabled bloodline. Fourthly was the addition of a summoning contract introduced into the clan and given only to those of any rank who showed unto the head of the clan the strength of their will and the strength of their hearts, as Hinata put it. The summoning contracts was one with sharks, a little gift Hinata was able to wrangle out of Kisame before she took his sword in rage and rammed it right up his butt using Kakashi's legendary taijutsu technique, cutting the fish man in half down the middle and giving her the right to the sword, which now hung in the relics shrine, in the Hyuga compound. Neji smiled at the irony. Hinata said that all this was done because Naruto was her encouragement and she wanted him to see her great achievements for the clan when she said he would return. Neji distinctly remembered Naruto saying that he would change the way the Hyuga was run for the better when he became Hokage. It was ironic that he did nothing but encourage someone to grow a backbone and change the clan themselves, so in an odd way, Naruto fulfilled his promise to change their clan. Now Hinata had reverted back the way when she was a young girl, and the stuttering returned whenever Naruto was around. As Shikamaru would say, troublesome. The two Hyugas had been assigned to keep an eye on Naruto in case he was attacked by any villagers wanting to get back at him for letting out Kyuubi. From what Naruto had told Haku, and from what Neji lip-read from that conversation, Kyuubi himself was coming to Konoha to witness the fights. Neji couldn't wait to see what was going to happen when the demon fox arrived. Would it attack? Would it just walk right through? And who was the redhead who looked like the Yondaime who was currently strangling Naruto? Naruto! Hinata exclaimed as she and Neji leapt from their places on the roof. It took a total of 5 seconds before they saw that the red-headed man was using a wrestling move on Naruto. Naruto lay on his stomach on the floor, the red head sitting on his back, pulling Naruto's right leg back, threatening to break it. Haku was watching laughing and pointing at his father. Say, you're sorry. The red head demanded. Q ouch. Harry stop that ow. Q. Come on forgive me. Naruto begged. Auntie QQ. Leave Tsunade alone, Haku told the person he called, Auntie QQ. Neji and Hinata looked at each other with confused looks. Neji shrugged as the red head finally got off Naruto. What have I told you about calling me that? Don't call me Auntie. But you look so ladylike, Chibanaru quipped. Auntie QQ lunged at Chibanaru and would have hurt him had Naruto not grabbed him by the legs and began pulling him away from the child. Naruto, Neji called. The three turned to look at Neji and Hinata. What the hell is going on here? We thought you were being attacked. And who is this man? The redhead growled. Kid, can't you see we're having a family reunion? Beat it. Scram. Shoo. He said brushing his hand away from himself as if brushing away crumbs. Who the hell are you? Neji demanded. It was then that Kakashi and Iruka showed up with Shizune and Anko right behind them. Neji, who is this, and why was he attacking Naruto? Kakashi asked pulling out a kunai. I was attacking him, because genius here got caught by you people. He's such an idiot. And does he even bother to send me a message by mail or QBP? No. I have to hurry on over to Konoha, leaving my precious farm in the hands of a party animal, all to save his sorry, the man shouted, so excuse me if I can't attack my godson's father. Neji's face drew blank. Your godson's father? Wait, you mean, Chibimaru is your godson? How do you know the Uzumakis? Neji demanded, dropping into a battle stance. The redhead rolled his eyes. People in this village want all the details, can I just give a Cliff Notes version? Well, tough shit anyway. Hinata felt a familiar force around the redhead. Kakashi, Iruka, Shizune and Anko also knew this feeling but couldn't place it. The memory of this aura was lost in the vaults of their perverted Kakashi, medicine-full Shizune, schooling Iruka, psychotic Anko minds. I know Haku because I was there when he was born. He still has my chakra running through him. And I was there when Naruto was born. I also spent 18 years sealed up inside that guy's gut. The only good thing about it is that I got a good supply of ramen. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I am the ex-king of demons, and ex-demon, Kyubi no Kitsune of the great Biju, now who are mostly extinct as pure demons, me especially. Sakura collapsed on the sofa outside Tsunade's office as the cage talked with the Hokage. She expected a tune lashing from her master when this was over. Sakura winced as the door slammed open. Fortunately for her, it was the door into the reception office. There in the doorway stood Kakashi, Shizune, Iruka, Anko, Chibimaru, Naru, Obito, Naruto and a red-hair man who looked strikingly like the Yondaime Hokage, Minato Namikaze. Sakura, get the Hokage now, Kakashi said firmly and forcefully. The red head was bound up as Sakura looked at him. She couldn't help but blush at his handsome features. Yo, the red head told her as Anko dragged him along by a rope made of a snake, a python to be exact. Sakura banged on the door to the Hokage's office. Come in, her master called. Kakashi and the others pushed past Sakura, followed by Naruto and the children. Sakura followed only to meet with the cage, his wife, son, brother, sister, brother-in-law, ex-sensei, guard, Hiyashi Hyuga, Homura, Kaharu, Sume Inuzuka, Shibi Aburame, Ino and Sai, Chusa Akamichi and Konohamaru Sarutobi. Ya know it's really getting cramped in here, Sume commented. Leave Auntie QQ alone, you psycho snake bitch. Haku demanded, ramming his small fists into Anko's legs. Don't call my Ka-san a psycho snake bitch. Naru defended. She's hurting my Auntie QQ. Damn it, Haku. It's Uncle QQ. Get it through your thick skull. I know it's not as thick as your father's. That was uncalled for, Q. Ah. Go screw a pocky stick. Don't swear in front of children. Why are we yelling? Miso asked, joining in. Everyone turned to look at the little child whose face broke out into a cheeky grin. Naruto and's Kyubi looked down at Miso with curious eyes. Oh shit, it's Shukaku as a kid, only this time he has red hair. What happened, Shukaku? Get shrunk by messing with my stuff again? Kyubi asked the child. Hey, I'm not Shukaku. I'm Miso. Who's the kid's parents? He thinks he's a ramen flavor. Naruto asked around the room. No, my name is Miso. Who are you? Miso demanded. Kyubi looked at Naruto and shrugged. Haku looks has some resemblance to me when I was a kid, so it's probably the same with the kid of the Shukaku's Jinchuriki. Probably, Naruto agreed. Tsunade looked at Naruto. Well, she didn't look at Naruto, she kept her head down and her eyes under her forehead. She had not forgotten the look he had given her when he had spat in her face, the look of pure rage and anger. She doubted he would forgive her. But now was not the time. Kakashi, why have you come into my office with this man? She asked. This is no man, Hokage-sama, Kakashi told her. Of course I am. If he isn't a man, then is he a woman? No, a demon. What? This man is the Kyubi no Kitsune. These people are very antisocial, Kyubi stated as he sat back to back with Naruto on a prison chair, both bound by chains and various other means of escape prevention. No wonder Orochimaru wanted to get rid of these people. They were rivals in the art of anti-socialism. Beneath their feet was a drawn chakra suppressor. The two men were growing tired with every ounce of chakra they tried to use. You're telling me, I don't even know why I'm tied up. And what's happening to Chibimaru? Naruto asked Sasuke, who stood guard over the duo. Sasuke sneered at Naruto and walked over to him. You really are a dobe, the dark-haired Uchiha gloated. Putting a child in the care of a demon. Ex-demon, thank you very much, Kyubi quipped. Sasuke ignored him or tried to anyway. I wonder who will win our little battle next month, Naruto-kun. A month? That scheming old bitch. When I get my hands on her all. You'll what, Dobe? Sasuke asked. Kill her. Beat the hell out of her. Sasuke took pleasure in goading Naruto to lose his cool. When we have our battle, it'll be interesting to see who will be victorious. Naruto raised a blonde eyebrow at the bastard who stood before him. What do you mean, shitface? The blonde asked. Naruto had to hand it to him. The Uchiha knew how to keep his cool. Sasuke smirked and stepped away from Naruto. Well, your furry little friend. Who you calling furry little, duck butt head? Kyubi demanded, struggling against his chains. As I was saying, you no longer have his power to rely on anymore, Naruto. It's all just you. I want to know how strong you are now. You gonna rely on your hickey from the pedophile? Naruto asked, shooting a smirk at Sasuke. The dark-haired Uchiha grinned before dropping to eye level. I no longer have the curse seal anymore, Dobe. Just like you no longer have the power of the king of Biju. It's interesting about them actually. Ikibi through to Shichibi were either returned to some of their containers, reviving them, or they were destroyed if there were no Jinchuriki body waiting for them. Hachibi remains a Jinchuriki, but Kyubi, the king of all Biju, is now a humble farmer, trapped in a clone. I must admit that blood clone jutsu you created is really surprising. How do you know what it's called? Naruto demanded, struggling against his bonds. Sasuke smirked. Ino. Remember, she was in your head. She learned about a couple of your jutsu. Fuden. World shaking, Fuden. Boom bubble, spiral twister, winds of protection, healing winds, diamond storm, Kohenkyu, fox leaf arrowhead, foxtail inferno, dragon wheel, spirit strike, amethyst wind, rice cord Madala, talisman shield, fox seal, Kozengeki, Tuhaken, Banhitsuzan, and the one you used against Choji, Sasuke said, ticking his fingers as he listed each one. Interesting, Ino was very descriptive of these, but I can't copy them by just listening. And I still don't know the fabled Rasengan. So I'll be having loads of fun at our battle, just don't forget any jutsu. Why did you waste time just listing my jutsus, Tem? Naruto scowled. Isn't it bad enough I'm in this hellhole you call a home, but you have to be all high and mighty by coming into my personal space and pissing me off? Sasuke turned and threw a smirk at the two. Have fun, the Kazekage and Hokage should be along any minute for you, he said. The door closed and Kyubi screamed. I hate him, 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 the redhead cried. He knew all about your jutsus. Kill that Ino girl when you fight her. Make her pay, that damn bitch. Doesn't she know better than to tell the Uchiha kid when you fight him take out those eyes of his? I forever regret giving my second vessel the Sharingan. It was true. Centuries ago the Kyubi had been trapped in a couple of vessels, giving each one a bloodline limit. Among them were the Sharingan, the Byakugan, and the Dead Bone Pulse. Naruto had been his 9th Jinchuriki, having killed all of his other vessels long after they had procreated. He hated them all, the descendants of most of them too. Except for probably the Hyugas and Chibimaru. Naruto growled. If Haku is hurt in any way, I'm going to pull an Itachi on a grand scale, and the village hidden in the leaves will be nothing more than a sentence in an old history book, Naruto exclaimed. Kyubi nodded. Suddenly realization dawned on him. Naruto. Why haven't you used Flash Step to get out of here? The redhead asked. Naruto furrowed his brow deeply. He looked right into Kyuubi's eyes and said, I've been trying to, but it's like I've suddenly become like Rock Lee. I can't use my chakra. You don't think they've put a seal on you? If they had, then someone has to be maintaining it and something must be hiding it. I can't use any of my jutsu. Not even my chakra control exercises. Walking on water was a flump. I could grasp the tree, my punch isn't strong enough, I don't even want to try walking on air. It's like I haven't even got any chakra. Kyuubi scowled. This is bad. Do you think they intend to keep you here and use that seal to cause you to lose your fights so they'll have you in the palm of their hands? I don't think they put it one Haku. He can use his kawaii ton jutsu and the hentai jutsus with no problems. I think they didn't know he could use chakra. The door opened as Naruto finished. He turned to scowl but came face to face with his old friends and fellow Jinchuriki. Gaara of the Sand. Cage of Wind Country's hidden shinobi village, Sunagakur no Sato. Next to him stood his clocked guard and Tsunade. At his legs was a child clinging on to his legs. Naruto was given a minute before he got the wind knocked out of him by Chibanaru, who had headbutted his stomach. Tou-san. Anti-QQ, the child cried. What have I told you about calling me that? Haku simply dug his face into his father's stomach. Already Naruto could feel the shirt getting damp from the child's tears. Haku. SHHSSHH, Naruto spoke. He planted his chin on top of Haku's head as if he were hugging the child. He probably would be had he not been tied up. Kyuubi rolled his eyes at the scene. Someone please get me a barf bag, he said to the other 4 others in the room. Hey, old hag, you got a barf bag I could use? This mushy stuff is putting me to an early grave. Tsunade's features grew darker and she sneered at the red-headed man. You wish. I have half a mind to tie you up in the middle of the square right now and let the villagers have their way with you, she said maliciously. Kyuubi narrowed his eyes at her as she walked up face to face with the prisoner. Demon, she called him. Kyuubi snorted. Sue babe, I haven't been a demon in nearly a decade. I'm all man now, as powerful as 3 cages, but all man. Maybe you'd like to see how much of a man I am, he said to her. Tsunade recoiled backwards. Are you flirting with me? She asked him. Naruto and Haku snickered from where they sat. And what if I am? Kyuubi asked as slyly as only a fox can. Tsunade responded by punching him in the face, sending him flying into the wall behind them. Then I would have to do something like that, she said, cracking her knuckles menacingly. Naruto's attention returned to Haku, who began pulling on the hem of the red jacket Naruto always wore. Tou-san. Everyone's being mean to me, the little child said as tears began to swell up in his eyes. Obito Tem and Naru Tem say anti-QQ is a demon and Naru Tem is BL lying me because I called his ka-san a bitch when she hurt anti-QQ. Now people are talking and saying mean things about anti-QQ. Let 'em say it. I have nothing to hide. They can all go screw pocky sticks for all I care, Kyuubi exclaimed as Tsunade dragged his chair back into the center of the interrogation room. Haku, however, continued to tear up. But it's upsetting, he sniffed. Tsunade, let me out of here. I'm gonna do an Itachi on a grand scale. Not on my watch, you're not demon, Tsunade growled. Haku clung on to his father. Tou-san, Obaa-chan is hurting anti-QQ. Tsunade froze before pouncing on Haku. Ooh, you called Biba-chan. Come on Haku-chan, Granny's gonna teach you how to drink sake. She picked up Haku before turning away. Don't even think about it. I'm supposed to teach him how to drink when he's old enough, Kyuubi demanded, struggling. Tsunade, however, ignored him. Her face displayed a look of euphoria, as if she had been drugged with pure tranquility. Her eyes sparkled and she had a skip in her step. At that moment she forgot what Naruto had done to her to spend time with her now appointed surrogate grandson. Is she even listening to me? Kyuubi asked. Naruto shook his head. Let him go, Hokage. He's my son. Leave him be, Naruto tried to order the old woman. Shit, she has that look. Naruto was referring to the look women got when Haku said something cute either to them or about them in their presence. She'll be out of it for a couple of hours. Suddenly Naruto noticed another person in the room. Gaara. Naruto asked his old friend. The red flashed a small smile before the child in front of him, the child who had been at the meeting, pounced on Naruto. Nay, you're Naruto Otogi. Your hair isn't as messy as the photos. Tsunade said you liked orange. Why aren't you wearing orange? Do you wanna go get ramen? I love ramen. I know lots and lots of jutsu. Do you know any jutsu? The child was cut off by his father. Miso, that is enough. You're not giving him enough time to answer any of your questions. Take a deep breath, and speak slowly and clearly, the cage told his son as he kneeled down, putting a comforting hand on the child's back. Naruto raised a blonde eyebrow. Miso? He asked, profoundly confused by the sand child's name. Gaara looked up at Naruto with a sparkle in his eye. Tsuki-san said it was your favorite flavor of ramen. I believe that you obtained your attitude from being named after ramen, so I have named my son accordingly. I see Yumino Naruto and your son share in these qualities. I believe I was right. Tsunade, Kyuubi and Naruto heard this and sweat dropped. It was the curse of the ramen-related name. Hyperactive, loud, boisterous and somewhat annoying. It was probably worse as Gaara and his village probably encouraged it. Hey, Naruto Otogi, can me and Haku Itoko go play? Huh. Tsunade, Hakafu, Haku-chan. PLLLLLEEEEAAAASSSSSEEE. Miso asked. Naruto looked at Gaara. What is it with him calling me uncle and Haku his cousin? Gaara shook his head. I have no idea. Then again, I don't understand a lot about Miso. I blame Cage Ship. Is there even such a word? There is now. Naruto turned to Tsunade. That's another reason why I don't wanna be Hokage. I'd never have any time for just me and Haku. Tsunade growled at him. Listen, pest. It's mostly paperwork anyway. Naruto scoffed at her. Tsunade glowered at him. Even after all these years you still haven't figured it out? He asked her. Pitiful. Tsunade, for the moment, forgot about the shamefulness she had been feeling since she had first re-encountered Naruto and retorted into his face. Well, if you're so high and mighty, mind telling me how to solve that problem? She asked. All Naruto replied with was two simple words. Shadow clones. Tsunade smacked her face and began to storm off. But before she could open the door, Naruto called out to her. Hey, ol' hag. Tsunade hoped that Naruto would give her a smile and say it was good to see her again, and to say he missed her. She turned around with a smile on her face. Yes? She asked expectantly. Care to put down Haku-chan? I don't think he can take the mental trauma of people being punched 8 ways from Monday. Tsunade noticed the little boy still in her arms, who incidentally was nearly falling asleep in her girls. She blushed a little red before patting Haku on the back and placing him down on the floor where Miso grasped onto him. Come on, Haku-chan. We gotta go. I know this place near Auntie Tima's place. It sell all these wicked mangas. There's one about an orange-haired guy, who's a Shinigami, and another about a magical girl with super cards. The blonde-haired child was dragged out by the red-haired one at breakneck speed. Naruto turned to Gaara and gave him a smile. That reminds me of me and you. Only the blonde was happy and the redhead was unsure. Gaara nodded before creating a chair out of his sand and sitting on it. Now it is in reverse, the cage noted to his old friend. So, how's Shukaku these days? Still yelling? Kyuubi asked about his fellow ex-demon lord. Gaara turned to the fellow redhead before speaking once again. He is silent for the most part. I still despise the fact that he is within me again. But I am sure it was needed to stop Akatsuki and anyone else for sharing my fate. He returned his gaze towards Naruto. So you are to participate in this tournament within 1 month's time? Gaara asked. They blackmailed me. How? The other two asked. My summons the toads. I forgot I had them. Idiot. And they're using that as an advantage. Kyubi, you know all about Haku and toads. I can't tell him that. I can't let him know. It would be a disaster, Naruto admitted. Kyubi nodded whilst Gaara looked confused. Naruto. What is it with Haku and toads? The blonde motioned for Gaara to lean in closer. The case cage complied and the blonde whispered in his ear. Oh! Gaara exclaimed.